First of all, I must say, breathe, take it easy. like I said to the players, we all do mistakes. It's how we respond to it that matters. I'm going to be honest. This was a very challenging camp coming into. It was. Think about it. We canceled the September window, had no activity. It was the only top team in the world that didn't have activity in September. It's got 9 weeks. Like Mary said, where are we, in terms of the mental side of the things, and then the physical preparation as well, playing on a Thursday when they arrived late Tuesday, most of the team. So I think we had some challenges. Add to that we lost our sports science, and you know how much I work with the SSM team, and Schalke was headhunted to Lyon Women's some weeks ago. So that was also a challenge for us in terms of preparation with planning and individual programs, communication with clubs, all that. But people stepped in the SSM and helped us there. But just to kind of set a perspective to it, this was a challenging camp going into. I'm happy that we had the bravery to rotate in the first game and get a very hungry team out there against Iran with players that deserve to get playing time. I'm really happy that we got Lydia on the park today as well. So we got all 22 players in there, and Lydia being here now in Perth as well to have that game for her means a lot, both for me, for her, and for Tony Franking and the family and friends. So there's a lot of things that I'm happy with. Football-wise, I think, I'm going to be honest, 3 clean sheets is maybe what I'm most happy about. When I came on board 3 years ago, everyone talked about this being a leaky defense and we need to fix things and such. And these are 3 teams that park the bus in transition, and that can be, you can be vulnerable in that. But we were clinical in our regains to win the ball back, to stop the transition. I think today, was it 0 shots on target? Am I right then? Maybe it was some off target, maybe some shots from distance, but we've been very, very focused on making sure that we don't give anything away. 100% focus in every single minute, and put that into perspective, we kept 13 clean sheets over the last year now. 13 clean sheets, just conceded 8 goals in 20 games, and I'm really happy with that. Attacking wise, I'm happy that we show more variation against the parked bus. There's more combination play, more up back through. It's not just around and crosses. There's much more variation in this camp than before. I think I'll leave it there for now.
Neil.
Tony, you talked about the squad rotation, but it's bringing you a lot of headaches now, isn't it? I mean, you've got a squad that you hopefully will get through to the Olympics, and you're going to have to make some very, very difficult decisions. How pleased are you as a coach that the players have risen to this now, and really some of them have given you such a problem in picking them? I mean, Claire Wheeler tonight again showed a versatility. Charlie was fantastic, I thought, as well. Katrina Gorry once again just covered more miles than there are blades of grass out there, I think. So how do you cope with that sort of problem?
Well, it's been a part of my job. It was very clear when the FA recruited me to say you need to work on depth. We have a problem in that depth report that was presented 3 years ago. I've tried to spend time doing that at the same time as we have spent a lot of time playing top nations. But what I've also been clear on, and want to say now again, is that when I've sat here a lot and say, well, I need to see investment, one of the things I mean as well is in pathways for players to come through, because we want even more players to compete for spots, give them opportunities, whether it's U23 national team or full-time pros or whatever it might be. This is the problems that you want to have as a senior national team coach. And you can see now what have happened with some of these players that have been given the opportunity to play at international level, either internationally for the national team or in quality leagues, in quality clubs where things goes faster and faster and they need to make quick decisions. So I'm happy with the development of players and development of the team, but I'm not happy when I think about potentially announcing a roster for the Olympics, because that's going to be a very, very tough job. But let's focus on one step at a time. We're not there yet. We have qualifiers in February, and that's what we want to focus on. What I want to say at the same time, though, that considering how well this team is performing right now, it's going to be a very small chance to break into this team as well for people outside of it that try to come in. That doesn't mean you can't come in, but it's going to be difficult because we're performing very well and we have more than the numbers that's going to be an Olympic roster that is competing for spot that is already here now in camp. So it's going to be tough competitions.
Next question over here.
Tony, just on the third round, not knowing how it's going to go in terms of rankings and who you play against, how much of a frustration is that when you're trying to plan what you need to get out of these 3 games ahead of February?
Well, what I've been informed and what we worked off is that it's very clear that the 3 group winners is going to go through, and then the best second place team. And if the best second place team came from our group, we're going to play the winner in Japan's group, which is Japan. If the best second place team came from Japan's group, we play that team. And if the best second place team come from the third group, we play the winner of that group. So for us, it's been crystal clear who we play in the third round, depending on the results. But it hasn't been crystal clear who that is. And that's going to be decided tonight. And from there, we plan.
Just on that situation, what did you make of the cutthroat nature of it? Only 2 teams from the Asia Confederation. Do you embrace that, or do you think, well, I wish we had more teams coming from there?
Well, I was talking to some of my colleagues in Europe, and then they are obviously frustrated as well on the European side when France have a spot and then there's only 2 more, and they're playing Nations League now, and there's just going to be 2 teams from Europe as well. So I think we all wish that there was more spots for different confederations. We know the circumstances, we know what it's like, and we control the controllables, and we want to be there, so we're going to do everything we can now to prep for that February window. And the one thing I do know for certain is no matter who we play, when we have that home leg in Australia, the support that we're going to have, no matter who comes here, that's going to be a tough game for them.
Joe.
Tony, what was your assessment of the first half tonight? It was obviously a bit frustrating not being able to break through. Is there anything in particular you think that held them back?
Chinese Taipei, I'm extremely impressed about their way of defending. And I think this is also, now it's easy for me to sit here and say it when we win it, but I think it was perfect for us that we didn't get that early goal, to be reminded that it's not always going to be like the Philippine games. And then we need to show maturity and be professional. And the thing that can happen in a half like that is that you get frustrated, and then you go in half time and you start yelling and throwing and what is this, it needs to be better, and then players goes out with insecurity and stress and start lumping balls in the box, and instead of playing our game. And classic, after an hour things starts to open up, and then obviously an individual brilliance from Mary open things up. But if you look at some stats, me always relying on stats as well, we had the most shots in this game out of all 3, the best XG out of all 3 games, and still just 3 goals. So it was the conversion rate today that wasn't there. We had 3 clear chances on set plays, we had 3 clear chances in open play, but good goalkeeping as well. The one thing I want to say, and I hope I don't create too much headlines right now, but I hope we're not going to be a second game anymore in terms of playing on the grass, because it was difficult to play tonight. There was a more technical mistake than you normally see from our players, because it was chunked up before the game before us. And I hope that doesn't happen again, because it does influence the way we play. And I don't want to create big headlines and make excuses, but it was tough to play for the players in terms of the technical execution tonight.
Got time for 3 quick questions. Ben, Matt, and then we'll finish.
Hey Tony, Neil alluded to her before, but Katrina Gorry, it looked like she came out after time with a point to prove, maybe not a point to prove, but she took the game by the scruff of a neck. She lifted the tempo. How good is it for you as a coach to have someone like Gorry, who is so physical in the defensive side of the game, but so good with the ball at her feet as well?
I think she summarized a lot who we want to be as a team. We want to be very creative on the ball, but we want to be extremely aggressive off the ball. And I think Gorey really represent that. If you look at the stats from the World Cup, she has one of the most. She had the most tackles out of everyone. She never hesitate to pull in a tackle and win the ball. But then in a split second, she can go from being aggressive to then be creative. And that's something we actually worked on in training this week, that more players need to be able to switch very, very quickly in and out of that. From looking for a give and go or an up back behind, and then all of a sudden you lose it and then straight away win it and then be creative again. And that's more of a mental side of the game, and she has that, and I love it.
Matt.
Yeah, Tony, you tried to sort of, I think after the first game on last week, tried to play down the impact of Mary Fowler and keeping her head, level and feet on the ground and whatnot. But, the sort of performance today, miss a few chances in the first half, very frustrating game, and then pick the lock the way that she did. What kind of player is Australia sort of seeing unfold here? Because it looks at 20 years old that she's going to be an exceptional talent.
How am I going to keep the expectations down on that one now? No, but the funny thing is, and I think any player have said that before and can say it, is that what we see in training, like that, when she pulls off that goal tonight, is what we see in training every day. Left foot, right foot, inside of the foot, laces, clipped balls, like anything. She quick decision making, know exactly where the goal is, where the goalkeeper is, where the opening is, and her finishing is just one of a kind. I think Sam have said it before, it's one of the best finishes she's ever played with. But I still want to say that I think one of the reasons why Mary can be Mary is because the other players around her, like the experienced player like a Stephanie Caitlin out there on the left side, and even Alana, allow her just just to be Mary, and then adjust to that so she can play free from fear and just enjoy the game. And that's what I want her to keep doing, no matter what happens in terms of expectations or headlines. Just be Mary.
Final question.
Hey, Tony. International football tends to be a little bit slower and a little bit more structured than club football, and obviously that's because coaches don't quite get as much time to be on the training field. But seeing the team this week and seeing the counter-pressing, the retain of the ball, but then also today the chance creation, players picking up in the half spaces. We saw some of the fullbacks being at number 10 and getting the ball in those little tight areas. How important is that for you, not only the pressing and the ball retention, but also that movement and just being really hard to mark? How is important that for you in terms of that Matildas taking that next step and being one of the top 5 teams in the world?
And now you really triggered me.
Okay, you've got 90 seconds.
90 minutes I need now. This is I've said it before. I love the green field of chess. You know, I love it. I love tactics, and sometimes I don't understand how the players deal with it, with all the information I give them and all the meetings and all the subgroup talks and all the trainings and all the walkthroughs and all that. But I'm passionate about it, but I also know if you want to win something and lift something, you need to understand all these things. And we saw in the World Cup that we were fantastic in our pressing conversion rate, in our organized defending. We were really good at breaking the last line. But in our regain and in our combination play to break the first and second line, we were not world class. And we need to get there. And we saw this as an opportunity to take that next step and really be brave on the ball and have that understanding. And for having that little time going into these games and convert those meetings and those few training sessions, I also think it says a lot about what level these players have taken themselves to in order to be able to take that information in and then execute it. But I also think we couldn't have done it if we didn't have the base over the last 3 years with understanding of each other and the connections and synchronization and understanding of movement. Like Mary said, for me it's more about having the right players in the right position with the right mindset. And if you have Steph, Mary and Caitlin out there, let them play. But have understanding that you can't occupy the same space. We need one wide, we need one in the inside pocket, we need one low. 3 lines, 3 angles, and then from there you can do whatever you want, and then they can solve it based on principles. But I'm very happy what I saw in terms of that, and also the commitment to do it. Especially, sorry, it was not 90 seconds, but one more to do it. It all starts with the centre backs. It all starts with the centre backs, because if they don't draw players out to create space behind lines and that they keep playing into pressure, it all fails. And the massive step we took with Alana and Claire in this, you saw them putting the sole on the foot and just slow it down, and you can go from there, just play fast. No, don't play. Hold it, invite them, and when they move, then we play and we get behind lines. And I'm really happy about the improvement of the centre backs, because that's where it all started.